Here's left. Pulls up, looking for the lead, and got it. Jalen Williams, 2 seconds, 1:11.109. Now SGA, probing, piercing, spinning, hanging for the lead, and SGA knocks it down. The Thunder finally get the defensive stop, and SGA puts them in front.
I'm Kenrich Williams. You're listening to Topic Thunder.
And welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Top Thunder Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Hunsinger at Thundercats. We are part of the Believe Network, and this podcast is brought to you by us. And I just got to say, we are pleased to be joined. Like, obviously, we already have Q&A. We got some great people in the chat on here. But for the first time ever, joined by Cone-1, Cone himself. What up, Cone?
What is that? That I don't like those numbers because on my end, we can't hear your audio, Cone. Sorry.
Don't worry. I have a tweet that I need to still tweet after I was in my drafts, but it's the Thunder up 3-1 and like it's the big three celebrating, and then it's the Thunder up 3-1 with like the war like PTSD cartoon like animated thing. So we've been in this spot before, but let's go get it. I mean, let's go get a different result. We're not going up against the 73-9 Warriors this time, which is a nice little change. But man, what a win. Oh my God, I'm stressed. I'm exhausted.
It was
another
breath.
Foul up 3 game, which you don't
They did it well.
They executed so much better. But
they learned.
We're one win from the finals, but way more importantly, 5 wins from an NBA championship, man. We're there. And what you want to talk about the game from the big three that was promised. This is that game.
They delivered. They showed up.
No, it was awesome. Well, a couple of games ago, game 2, like the big three also had a really good game. I think they combined for like 83 points of our, however many points we had. But today they went above and beyond. I tweeted it out. I counted it out. They scored 95 of the 128 points by the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is nuts. Like, they were 5 points away from scoring 100 points between the 3 players. Like, it really gives you like Russ KD Ibaka vibes from like back in the day, or even like Russ KD Harden, some of those games like that. Like, and then, I mean, we're going to talk about all this, but like, just like this game was absolutely nuts. Like the shot making
too
on
nuts,
both sides,
too ridiculous, man. I swear to God, if I see another Timberwolves player hit the Harlem Globetrotters type of layup again, I'm gonna lose it. The amount of layups, Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
Nickeil had some
Love
stuff
Shea.
to him.
He was unbelievable.
Love Shea. Nah might be the better cousin at this point. I won't even lie. And one of them is the MVP of the league. It was so absolutely unbelievable. The shots that Nah was hitting. There was the one where he was double contested. I think it was Dub and Chet or something like that, or Dort and Chet. Like, there were 2 people contesting his 3, and it still looked like it was on target. I was like, I swear to God, if he hits this one. That up and under layup when he fights through contact from Isaiah Joe and finishes up and over. I've never seen Nickeil Alexander-Walker act like that. You want to talk about a guy earning money right now. Nah is doing that, man. That was...
And then all of that great shooting, but then the last shot, I think the last shot he had, and Chet Holmgren was right there. That might have been the biggest block of his career.
Easily the biggest block. That has an argument for the biggest block of Thunder history.
That was an amazing block. Like I knew it. I was watching that play, and when he sealed him off, I was like, oh yeah, he's blocking this. Like, he's got it, and it was perfect. And at that moment, the game should have been over. To be honest, like, we were up, I think 5, and we had the ball. I think we had like a minute left. And the fact that it got down to what it did, where it was just a free throw game, I was holding my breath the last probably 5 minutes of real time there.
My dog, like, I was just sitting there, like, I started petting her, like, as the Wolves tied it up. I was petting my dog, and then the Thunder went on a run, and I did not stop petting my dog. My hand is cramping from petting my dog nonstop until the end of that game, because it felt like good luck. I just felt like I needed something to feel like I could control. You know, it was. Yeah. Oh my God, man. I'm watching my whole family because I'm visiting back home, and usually it's just me screaming alone in my apartment, but this time it's like everyone around me, and man, it was. And then for the ball to go out of bounds, and that fan catches it to add time.
That was
correct.
Why is there not a rule about that? Why is there not a rule? There should be a rule that it has to hit the ground. If it doesn't, it's got to be like a 0.5 second penalty. Because, like, in theory, if that guy was 8 foot tall, you get an extra second. Like,
That gave me the Spurs game vibes from like back in the day whenever there was like 7 missed calls in like the last minute, and one of them was the Spurs fan was literally pulling Steven Adams from going to get the rebound.
It's crazy. There's so many crazy events.
Oh my God. This game was, you want to talk about a game to go up 3-1 the Western Conference Finals? I mean, we were so due for a close game, but I wish it would, like it felt like it was over, and then we had to go and foul up. We had to go and foul up 3, and Shea missed a free throw, and he was perfect otherwise. And it's like, oh my God. And they didn't call foul when Shea kind of got raked across the arm, and it was a turnover. And oh my God, man, I can't. I'm so unbelievably stressed.
There's 2 ways I think to look at it in general. Besides just the fact that at the very last minute there was a bunch of crazy. But before that, even I think on one hand it's like, why are we only up like 7 or 8 at halftime when our big 3 is going off and Anthony and Randall haven't really hit anything. But I think on the other side, you can look at this and be like, we just survived one of the best performances these role players on the Timberwolves can give you ever. Like, they're not going to shoot any better than that. We already talked about Nickeil Alexander-Walker with 5 for 8 from 3. You had Jim of 6. Dante
DiVincenzo, God.
Like, those guys combined all averaged over 50% on whatever that is, like 20-something attempts. Yeah. That's not happening in Oklahoma City. There's no shot. That's the best game they're ever going to get collectively, and you survived it. And that is a huge, huge moment or a huge win to just do that. And I think, Cone, you had said it in our group chat, and the more I thought about it, I agree with it. Because at the halftime, I was like, why are we only up 8 and Randall and Ant are doing nothing? And to your point, like if he was 2 of 12, it would have been one thing. But I think credit to Lou Dort, because he was on both of those guys.
Oh man, we're going to talk about the big 3 a lot. But Lou this Dort, is an all-time torture chamber game. And Cason Wallace. Cason has to get some love too.
He did
the defense from those 2, and not to mention, I mean, this really was the everybody game. Cason, that midi that he hit, where like the shot clock's winding down, and we just needed a shot. Of them. Yeah, he hit that midi, and then that came after the pull-up midi. Huge plays from Kenrich Williams. He gave us awesome minutes coming off the bench.
Reverse layups.
Caruso ending up in that dunker spot. I swear to God, anytime we need to get bailout in the fourth quarter, Caruso was in the dunker spot. Ihart had some really big rebounds. He didn't play a ton in this game. Didn't really look to score all that much, but I thought he did a great job of getting on the glass.
Had a great steal on Ant too.
That steal was incredible. Like the pressure from everybody the whole night. But like obviously the big 3 are going to be talked about the most. Jalen Williams, man, there is nobody I'm happier for than Jalen Williams, because he got named All-NBA, and people are yelling like, "Oh, why? Like this is the worst All-NBA selection of all time." This and that. Jalen Williams in the conference finals so far. Let me go ahead and pull up the stats again. Shout out to Carson Braber, friend from Nerd Sesh. J-Dub so far in the Western Conference Finals, 26, 7, and 5 with 3 steals on 60.7 true shooting percentage. And then tonight, the stats, he finishes with 34 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 6 of 9 from 3. Do you know the most threes Jalen Williams has ever hit in a game is? The answer is that game with 6. Nice. That is the most threes in the game where we needed it the most. Jalen Williams gives us his career high 6 threes. You want to talk about breaking that Minnesota defensive pressure? J-Dub goes ballistic. Chet was unbelievable tonight on both ends. That block, again, if we end up going on to win it all, winning this series, making it back to the finals, that's maybe the biggest block in Thunder history.
Yeah, if we win it all, that is for sure.
21 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 3 blocks, 9 of 14 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3. Should have been 3 of 5 from 3, but his toe was barely on the line. Got to get that shoot at half a size. But he's shooting it with confidence. The amount of like dunks he had. I love that Chet just was like, "Hey guys, I'm 7 feet tall. I'm just going to start dunking the basketball all the time."
Yeah, he's been crazy.
Started doing it. This was the best game of the playoffs by far in terms of the execution and play from both teams. The Wolves played an unbelievable game. Obviously, not a lot from Ant and Julius Randle, but Gobert was ridiculous. Dante was great. Nickeil was great. Jaden was great. Everybody outside of those guys, and even Ant, he wasn't scoring, but he was putting so much pressure downhill on us and getting the ball to those corner shooters. He was still phenomenal, and we just outgutted them. This felt so much like that Game 4 and Game 5 win against the Nuggets, Game 4 specifically. And you talk about Game 1 against the Nuggets when we're fouling up 3. We had the lead. They came back into it. We started doing the foul up 3 thing, didn't execute it great, and they go on to win the game. This time, we talk about getting experience not year to year, but from series to series, game to game. They executed so much better fouling up 3. They did it perfectly. Like, I couldn't have asked for better. I mean, Shea obviously could have hit like that one free throw that would have been slightly more perfect.
Mm-hmm.
They did such a good
A
job.
little more anxiety for
slightly
you.
Sweaty. Yeah, I mean, fellas, I mean, let's go ahead and let's dive into the single John, because I mean, there's a lot of like special plays that happen in this game, and I mean, we got to highlight them. Cone, you kind of talked about Dub, and you know, we're gonna talk about Dub, we're gonna talk about Joe, we're gonna talk about everybody, but this was a phenomenal bounce back game for everybody, specifically the big three. But like Shea came out on a mission tonight. You know, Dub got it started. Like I think he scored like 11 of the first 15 points for the Thunder. But from there, like Shea was in go mode, man. Like he was getting to his spots in the mid range. It didn't matter if it was Nikhil, if it was Dante, if it was Rudy, if it was Jaden, if it was Ant. Like he was hitting it over all of them. There was one point in the fourth quarter in which Shea actually was backing somebody down, and Rudy was shading, like he was right there. Somebody else came over from the other side, and I was screaming, like, pass it to Kaysen in the corner, like on the opposite corner. And Shea turned over his shoulder, shot over all 3 of them, and made the shot. Like it was that kind of night for Shea. And on a play that could have been disaster, Shea drives into 2 guys, slips, keeps his pivot, like he's fully doing the splits.
Oh my God.
Keeps his pivot foot, ducks under Rudy Gobert, passes it to Dub for the 3 in the corner.
That is one of the most insane plays I've seen in my entire life.
A back-breaking play too for the Wolves. Like that, missed that.
I thought that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really thought when that happened, I was like, we cannot lose this game.
It felt like a turnover and a score on the other end.
You know what that felt like? To us, that was like the Derrick Jones Jr. turnaround shot from last year against the Mavs. That was like the Rudy Gobert turnaround fadeaway over Jokic in that series against the Wolves played against the Nuggets last year. Every series feels like there was that one moment where it's like, yeah, this is the kind of the moment. That to me is the moment.
Yeah. Viking in the chat said best play of the year. Might be.
Oh yeah.
Has to be.
Like if we like obviously like you know we're one game away from like winning the West Conference Finals. Like we're one game away from being in the finals. If we go on to win a championship, like that play, like you know we'll see what happens. But, like,
I'll get that tattooed on me. I'll get that tattooed to my forehead.
I thought that was a great play. I still think the Chet play was better. But that's just maybe that's a personal opinion. Maybe that's a little unpopular. But
I think it's just
they're both very good.
The absurdity of Shea being on the ground and passing it through
the
legs
nutmeg,
of Jaden McDaniels. It's funny. I tweeted out earlier during the game that Shea is not talked about nearly enough as a playmaker. Yeah. He was 1 board away tonight from a 40-point triple double, and
which would have been huge.
Yeah, one of those 10 assists. I mean, it comes on a nutmeg between the legs of Jaden McDaniels to Dub. I think that was his 6-3 too to give him a career high in threes.
Mm-hmm.
You just
that was his 5th because then Shea hit him in the corner again for the 3, like the next position later.
You want to talk about literally willing the team to victory. This is what your big 3 does. This is the game that was promised. When we talk about the vision of this big 3, it's Shea being potentially the best player in the world. It is Jalen Williams knocking down those big shots and defending his butt off. It's Chet dunking everything and blocking shots to save the game and hitting threes as that unicorn stretch big. This is the game. And you know, we started with the double big lineup, but we outside those first 2 minutes.
I love that they didn't do it that much. I think that was a great.
And honestly, I'm cool with it still starting. I am. Like it would be cool, you know, to make that switch, but we've gotten this far with the double big starting. I know it leads to slow start sometimes, but it does get us into a rotation. It establishes a little bit of something. I'm sure they've got reasons to continue doing it. Like we're winning games. I'm cool with it. As long as we're winning games and we're not going to it, because at both now the last 2-3 games, maybe even all 4 games of the conference finals, we've gone single big coming out of halftime. Like we just start with it.
This has by far been the lowest amount of usage for iHeart, and I do like that. Mm-hmm. I knew that they weren't gonna. Everyone online was saying don't do the big double big lineup. You know, to put in Caruso or Kaysen and somebody. You knew that Mark wasn't going to do that. You knew he was going to stick with his guys. That's what he does. But I love that, and this is what I was actually hoping for, that he switched them out very quick, or somewhat quickly, like 6 minutes or something like that in the first quarter. and then he never really went back to it. And I think that's very Mark Daigneault. Like, he sticks with his starting lineup, but if there is a clear pivot where you need to, like, it's not working, they have like a net rating, I think like pretty much 0 right now, maybe a little bit above after tonight, but it's clearly not working. The single big lineup with Chet is really, really good. He went with that. Chet played 33 minutes, IR played 15, and Dub and Shea played both 40, which was crazy. I didn't realize that, but he was clearly going for like a very different lineup rotation, which that was big. That was a big reason I think we won this game too.
Yeah, Mark coached an incredible game. I felt like, getting them to execute much better on the foul up 3 thing. I thought the lineups were awesome too in this game. I felt like he pushed every button perfectly. Maybe a little bit too much for Isaiah Joe in that one because he just didn't really have it going a lot. Although he had a couple of huge plays offensively.
Yeah, he had a couple good. He had an and 1 and a 3, and I mean, like that's what you need for Isaiah Joe.
But it ended up being an and 9 because he missed a free throw. But yeah,
he did. His defense is just it's tough.
The defense made it a little bit difficult towards the end, but he was trying to get in Caruso anyways. There was just no stop balls. But the way the Kenrich minutes I thought were great. It coming out of halftime with the single big, I really felt like he pushed the right button in every single way, adjusted things, flattened out the spacing a lot more to get those help defenders away from Shea, open up those gaps a little bit. I thought that was incredibly done. I felt like we got so many more open threes in this game too. I just felt like their action, their decisiveness was on another level. They responded in every way you could possibly ask.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And you knew they would. That's what they do. That's
what they've done all playoffs.
Never not come back from a loss like that. You knew they were not going to give up 100. Well, they still gave up 100 and whatever 26, but they were not.
But that was honestly like the defense was so much better in this game. The Bulls were just insane. I mean, the
role players
they were making really nice.
They were getting
shots.
A lot of pretty good corner 3 looks, which is what the Thunder have always given up. Like when you play the aggressive defense we play, it's going to lead to some of those open looks. But even I know they're NBA players, and I talk about like they can't miss, and people are like, "Oh yeah, but they're wide open." Still, players are going to miss wide open threes. We have seen that time and time again. They were not missing wide open threes tonight. That was something they just decided against.
Yeah, it was more of the offense though. That was like they needed this. Like they knew they had to come out and perform. And like we've already talked about Dub a little bit, but Dub coming out and making like his first 4 shots, I think that really set the tone. I think he hit a 3 and then a couple of middies. He went 5 of 8 there, and then he went 5 of 10 or 5
he
of 7.
He had 13, I think, in the first quarter alone.
Yeah, and then he had 14.
Him and Shea both had 13 in the first. Yeah,
he had 27 of his 34 points in the first and last quarter of the game. So like he set the tone, and then again he like in the fourth quarter when they need a lot of those points, he hit it too. So like the offense from the big 3 was obviously really good. The shooting all around was probably the best it's been in the playoffs. 43% on 37 attempts. That's probably up there with our best this postseason. They came out and just they responded exactly as we thought we would see them.
Yeah, and I just got to give a shout out to Cookies and Cream as well, man. Case and Caruso, like they're
33 minutes for Caruso, by the way.
Yeah, like they were both like doing what they do, man. They were just wrecking the game. Like they was getting their hands on loose balls. They was getting out in transition. They were knocking down big shots. Like it wasn't necessarily threes, even though they both did knock down their share of threes. But as we mentioned, Kaysen on that like hot potato mid-range shot. Kaysen also had that like elbow pull-up jumper, which I was just like, all right, Kaysen, like like that's a real weapon if Kaysen can pull that out like consistently, like specifically like attacking these zones.
Yeah.
And stuff. And then of course like Caruso just saving our junk in the dunker spot there. Like, just like if you're the Timberwolves, you gotta be so pissed because you play like 22, 23 seconds of like really good defense. You shut off the driving lanes, you're staying home on the shooters, you're not getting caught in a blender. And then Alex Caruso's just right there in the dunker spot, just like not even looking, just like just floating it up.
This is legitimately one of those we just refuse to lose games because I just saw a tweet.
Yeah,
the Timberwolves led this game in rebounds, assists, points off turnovers, fast break points, points in the paint, second chance points, free throw attempts, free throw makes, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and free throw percentage, and they lost the basketball game. That doesn't feel like it should be possible, right?
Yeah,
at home as well. And you talk about championship teams, you have to gut out some just absolutely insane play. When you get this deep in the playoffs, every team is kind of insane. So to go in on the road and win this type of game, like this is why the experience thing, there's no more qualms about the experience. They have the experience. They're built for these moments.
Yeah, this game was so huge for such a young team to be able to, like, obviously we saw it in Denver, but like it was a very ugly game. Like not a lot went right for either team in game 4 in Denver when we got the win. Tonight, it was not only is things clicking for you, like if you figured something out, but Minnesota is having like the magnet ball games, possibly from like the role players. And for them to, it felt like every time that we would, I think somebody said in our chat, like anytime we would get up like 6 or 7 points, Minnesota have an answer immediately. But what was important and what we didn't have in the prior game is after Minnesota's answer, we had an answer right back. Like we were still putting on those mini runs. We were not frazzled. We didn't get stagnated on offense. Like we were pushing right back. And it's just huge to see that amount of growth from still such a young team. Like this core's second playoff run.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, we got punched. We didn't get punched in the mouth. We got suplex last game. And then to come out here in a game where they like when they made that run, they literally like dropped us from the top of the steel Hell in a Cell onto a table last game. And then did the elbow drop from the top of the cage onto us.
With a barbed wire baseball.
Taped to their elbow. So they did all that last game. They thrashed us. And you were like, okay, this should be a wake-up call for the Thunder. They're going to respond. It was just honestly one of those games. Those happen sometimes. And to come out here in a game where, like, at the beginning of the second half, the Thunder got punched in the face again. Like, they went on that run. Dante hit those back-to-back threes, and they tied the game, timeout, and it's like, okay, they've got to respond. And I think we then went on a 5 or 7-0 run. Like, we immediately respond. And we went to the fourth quarter up, I think, 8, right? Like they tied that thing up with like 6:30 or 7-8 minutes left. And by the end of the quarter, we were up 8. They respond so unreasonably well for a team this young.
Yeah, I was trying to find, I don't know why the NBA.com app is not working well, but you mentioned kind of like how they beat us in so many of these statistics. But if you look at it, like the one I can find right now is the second chance points. They had like 30 second chance points because they had so many offensive rebounds, but we did too. Like it wasn't like they were completely dominating us in any one of those aspects. We were still kind of like holding out a little bit on that regard. And we had like 30 or they had 30 and we had 22 second chance points. And then you get to like the points off turnovers. Those were, even though the Wolves beat us there still, which is kind of weird, we were still pretty close on that. So like all of these things that they were technically beating us on, we were kind of matching them a little bit toe for toe. So it's part of the reason why we're able to sort of stay ahead a little bit. And looking at the 3-point shooting too, how they had like 45%.
I mean, also for us, huge step up game in the 3-point department. Like Dub knocking down those shots, Che hitting a couple threes, Chet hitting a couple threes. It felt like our best shoot. I mean, game 2 against Denver was probably our better.
Yeah, the blowout probably was more, but it did feel, this was right up there.
But it felt so good to actually hit some threes. Yeah. I mean, we're so due for, regression to the mean, progression to the mean. I don't know which one it is, but we're so due to get back to our usual shooting. I know there's like
positive progression,
playoff droppers and things like that, and concern about when players aren't able to really, shoot the way that they did in the regular season. But come on, like at some point, it's just got to be, it's just got to get even somewhere close to where it was.
And now you go back home for game 5, and I don't think Lou Dort is going to shoot like he only took 3 threes, but 1 of 3. I don't think, I don't think, like we said, the role players and the Wolves are going to do what they did in Oklahoma City. So like you've got to feel really good in that department shooting wise.
Yeah. I mean,
Shay just said about the free throw merchant label. They asked him about it. He said, "I don't care."
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all saw the Richard Jefferson interview he gave.
It was great.
Yeah, that was good.
Whenever he said that Shay talked to him, and like he was asking him about it before he even get it out. Shay was smiling ear to ear. He's like, "I love it."
Yeah, he also just said post game that they were asked like, "What's it like being a road villain?" He said, "I love it. It's like it's up there with being at home playing." Like he relishes this kind of stuff.
I don't really understand why crowds boo when a player has a ball, because I feel like that just motivates them. That just feels like bulletin board material. Why are you?
It's
why
just
are you
so
giving
funny
them
to
an
me that
advantage?
Shea is getting booed just because he's frying them. Like it's not like
Yeah.
Like you should boo the refs if anything. Like that.
it's not like Shea, had a dirty play or something and they're booing him, or like he's a villain.
He's the
just
nicest guy
frying
off
them.
the court. He's just really good at basketball.
Yeah, he's just really good at basketball, getting booed. I know we're kind of doing haphazard single large item. So,
it's fine. We'll just
roll with
it.
I just wanted to shout out Chet. I want to shout out Chet.
You, man.
Chet was unbelievable. We've talked a lot about Shea. We've talked a lot about Dub. I got to give Chet his flowers. 3 blocks, 21 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. Chet, it feels like, has taken continuously. It's been a long road, coming back from that hip injury, getting back to where he is now. And it really feels like over these in these conference finals, he had 15 on 6 of 9 shooting with 7 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. He had 22 in game 2. He had only 10 last game, only played 21 minutes, and then 21 tonight. Chet's been unbelievable in these conference finals. He's been unbelievable all playoffs. There have been some ups and downs on the offensive end. The defense has always been awesome, but this team reaches a whole new gear, and people talk about the concerns with us offensively. Those pretty much disappear when Chet plays like this. Chet is like the weapon and the secret to kind of unlocking this team on that offensive end. And he's done such a good job. He's shooting the 3 with confidence. He's not hesitating. He's done such a good job of taking Rudy Gobert off the dribble. And he got blocked tonight. Like he did, but I love that he didn't lose any confidence. He keeps taking him off the dribble. And that not only, sometimes gets him buckets or that little turnaround midi, but it also gets him going downhill and gets the defense to collapse a little bit or gets him to send pressure. And he's making the right reads. This whole team is growing up so fast. And for Chet to play this good, for him to make the game-saving block, one of the biggest blocks in franchise history, after coming off of mid-season hip surgery, or was it even? Did he get surgery? I think
they just healed it, right?
Was it just healing?
I think he just lets the bone fill in.
Mid-season recovering from a iliac fracture, which is something I didn't even know existed before Chet ended up hurting it. To come back from that and go through this, adjust to his role, get back, trying to get in the flow. He's now playing the 4, sometimes the 5, and there's this whole new hierarchy. It's really hard. If Chet just wasn't playing very good in this playoff run, I get it. It's been a lot for him this season. But for him to come out here and have one of the best games of his career, that 4th quarter against the Timberwolves, one of the best quarters of his entire career in game 1.
Yeah, I was gonna mention
that. It's special stuff. This is what we talk about with Chet, where he really is. And people keep talking, we want Chet to be more involved offensively. Here it is. When we need him most in the playoffs, he is a guy who is a game changer, whether he's dunking or he's getting offensive rebounds and putting it back up in it. It feels like Chet's rebounding. The numbers don't really reflect it, but I swear Chet has done such a good job at getting those contested rebounds.
His energy is really
there.
good.
He's fighting for every loose ball. Again, shooting with confidence. He's not really hesitating anymore like he's done at points. It was such a drastic shift. That was one of the biggest things for the team in this game, in my opinion, is the lack of hesitation. They hesitate a lot to open last game. And this one, Dub's pulling midi after midi and pulling a 3, like he's getting going early. And Chet is just looking to dunk everything. And Shea is saying, screw it, I'm gonna put up 30 shots. He shot below 50%. I don't care. If we're in a game that we need to win, I want Shea taking 30 shots. Because anytime Dante's on him or Nikhil or anybody that's on him that's smaller than him, I want him taking that shot every single time.
Yeah.
So
I would rather go 0 for 30 than what 5 like 15. Because
exactly. Shout out to Deon Waiters, Thunder legend. But yeah, I mean, Chet he's special, and I don't think he gets enough praise. I think this year he had a chance to be All NBA. I think this year he had a chance to win the Defensive Player of the Year award. He would have been a lock for all defense. He got a lot of accolades taken away from him. He missed half of his second season now. And now that's, if you consider his rookie season in that, 2 absolutely insane freak injuries that have taken so much basketball from Chet. And for him to be able to come out here in his hometown, by the way, where he grew up and put on this type of performance, it's super special. I'm so damn happy for Chet, man.
That next season that's going to be a chip on his shoulder. The fact he didn't get any of these defensive awards or anything like that. But the only thing I wanted to add for Chet is like you said, Conan, in game 1, the 4th quarter, he was that was a shining moment tonight. He has 4th quarter 9 points, 4 or 5, 1 or 2 shooting, and then like we said, that big block that is franchise altering. So just when the lights are bright, he's there.
He is, man. He's a guy who steps up. Him and Dub. I tweeted that Dub was gonna have a big playoff run, and I can't wait to revisit that when Dub's rocking the Larry O'Brien Trophy.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome, man. It's been awesome to see the big three step up like this, and there's obviously a path for them to continue to do so. Like I can't get over obviously the growth of the young guys, but Shea just offsetting all the criticism, offsetting the crowd booing.
They were
chanting
free throw merchant on his first 2 free throws, which I think were late in the first quarter.
Speaking of that, I want to know how I like Doris Burke. I do.
Doris.
Genuinely,
I don't want to.
I'm just saying I like Doris Burke as a commentator, but it was weird that she brought up the free throw merchant thing specifically after. I don't know why she's brought it up multiple times, but specifically the place she brought it up is when Shea is driving. Gobert puts his whole arm across Shea's chest like this. So Shea's like, okay, I'm just going to get into my shooting motion and shoot the ball. It is a foul that every player in the league gets. Yeah. The best players in the league probably get at least once a game, if not multiple. It's just always been a foul. No one ever complains about it. Rudy didn't complain about it. No one did. And then he goes to the line, and it's this is why some people call him the free throw merchant. I'm like, how is this the moment?
Was my GOAT. She was my GOAT last year. I don't know what happened.
How is this the moment it's being brought
up? I used to love Doris on the call. I'd get excited when she would call a game.
I don't get this.
I don't get this agenda every time.
What's the point?
Shout out Richard Jefferson though. Because immediately, in the last game, she said it, and it was 2 quarters later he mentioned it. Maybe not last game, but the game before that. This game, it was immediately after. He was he averages 7, 8, 9 free throws a game. I used to do that in my career, and I was nowhere near the score. I was never considered the best player in the NBA like he is. That's not a lot for the best player that he is. So, Shea was all parts of the MVP. I'm saying this is a transition to kind of close out my part of the pod because I got to jump off of here. But I just want to point out real quick that I know Tierney pointed this out last game, but we do have T-shirts to celebrate Shea's
great
award.
Transition.
And if I do say so myself, these are some of the most fire pieces of
for sure
we've ever put out.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the homie Caleb Gravitt for collabing on this. You're really executing the vision that we had for it. They're fire. Mine's on the way already. We've had not a million. We've had a ton of orders already, and don't miss out. Get yours as well. And we also have another shirt. Let me pull it up here. Well, maybe.
All
right, here, yeah. All right. Yeah, we got another shirt here. This is for the cookies and cream. This was designed by my lovely wife, Chelsea.
Shout the GOAT.
And also just extremely fire shirt. A different vibe, but I feel like this is the best nickname that we've had for Thunder players in years. I feel like people have really started to gravitate towards it. So, yeah, embrace cookies and cream, the game wrecking machine, man. There's literally some games in this playoffs that we would not have won without Casey Wallace and Alex Caruso.
You'll never guess who's the plus-minus leader tonight for the Thunder.
Was it Casey Wallace?
It was your Alex Caruso once again.
Unsurprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also wanted to point out Caruso and Casey earlier. We talk about their defense all the time. We talk about their shot making. They have 5 rebounds combined. Guess how many of them were offensive rebounds?
Well, I know it already, so we'll look.
Was it all 5?
Yeah, almost all of them.
I'm not shocked. Not shocked. It felt
every Kaysen rebound was an offensive rebound. He was.
Yeah, every Kaysen rebound was offensive rebound. All but one for Caruso was an offensive rebound. Well, he only had 2, but one of those 2 was offensive rebound. Chet, half of his rebounds were offensive rebounds.
Chet had 4.
The Thunder really crashed the offensive glass tonight. Yeah, but with that being said, I gotta get off here. You guys do a great job finishing up. Just gotta say, we are 1 win away from returning to the NBA Finals.
We haven't been there since I was 12. It's a shame that we're that's 0-0. So.
It's 4 more wins, boys.
It's an absolute shame to 0-0. Well, hey, maybe we can go up 1-0 for our home crowd. I think they'll be excited. Also, if you're listening and you're in OKC, if you're near OKC, go to the airport and greet the team. This was one of the biggest wins of the Thunder era already. and vibes are high. We have a chance to, as we said, close this out in the next home game. But greet the team, show them how excited we are, make them feel that hype, and carry it into the next game. But with that being said, Tierney, Cone, love you guys. Great to see you again. We'll
see you later, man. See you later.
I
only had one other thing I just want to quickly shout out is the guys off the bench. And we kind of hit most of this, so I won't take long. But I know Isaiah Joe didn't get a lot of he was getting kind of a little bit of heat for his defense, but like we already talked about, his offense was big.
He gave us a punch we needed.
He was there in a crucial moment there in the second quarter, I think, where all of his points were. And then Kaysen, we've already mentioned a lot. Kenrich, a lot of minutes, and then Caruso, game high, 8+8, and those in that, I think it was late third or early fourth, where he just sort of figured out that they weren't really paying attention to him on the baseline, just kept cutting in and getting easy buckets. That was a nice little moment because we were kind of getting cold.
You talk about with the veteran, presence with Caruso, he just recognizes stuff like that.
Yeah.
He recognized that, okay, when Shea gets the ball and he starts, pressuring a little bit, or if someone gets the ball in that middle spot, they're setting pressure over towards that middle to help because we were hitting a lot of middies in that spot. And Caruso just kept ending up in the dunker spot. I swear he got at least 2, if not 3 of those layups right there.
I think 2
to
of
go
them
down
back to back. Yeah, for sure.
He just kept recognizing that spot, and that's whether that's Mark coaching him or it's Caruso recognizing that and being like, "Yo, that spot's going to be open." Either way, just masterful stuff. This is a game that most teams don't win. Most teams do not win this
for sure.
game, but championship level teams, this is a game that they can win.
Having as all the ridiculous shooting as the Wolves had, having all of the stuff at the very final 2 minutes that it was there. I think if the Nuggets series doesn't happen, we lose that game. But we had the playoff experience.
I agree. I 100% agree that we lose that game. If we played this game before we played the Denver Nuggets, I agree. I think we lose.
Yeah, and that's what a growing young team is going to go through. And thank God for the Denver Nuggets for letting us do that experience because it was a wild.
Genuinely huge shout out to Denver. I had a couple more things I want to go ahead and bring up. First of all, iHeart only played 15 minutes, but I thought he was really good in those 15 minutes. It's a shame that his minutes have to get cut. This is just a tough series for him. This isn't one that you really always want him out there for. I think if it ends up being New York, who we go on to face, assuming we can figure out how to get a win when it's 0-0
or 4,
if we can find a way to get 4 more wins to get to that point. I think if they're still doing the Cat Mitchell Robinson double big starting lineup, then we bring it's a double big lineup that we're gonna have to utilize that more. But if it's Indiana, I think there's also a world where Hart gets a little bit less run. And that is just the nature of the playoffs. The playoffs are very matchup based. Denver, we needed Isaiah Hartenstein a ton. This series, because Minnesota doesn't really have those bigs to punish us all that much, and because they're so perimeter centric, it's not a series that iHeart's going to play all that much. And that's perfectly fine because in the minutes that he's playing, it felt like he did an incredible job, only finished with a plus-minus of 1. But those 6 boards were huge, 4 of those being offensive. That's the big thing we stepped up in tonight, which is so funny because it felt like we were killing them on the offensive glass, and that's the reason we won because we got 12 more shot attempts than them. No, it was tied.
Yeah, we both had so many offensive rebounds and both had so many second chance points. It was great.
Yeah, I mean the key was that we turned them over 21 times. You're really almost never going to beat this Thunder team if you turn the ball over 21 times. But I just want to say iHeart, he's been getting some slack, I feel like, from people for the double big thing not working. It's not his fault. It's just matchup dependent. And I feel like in the minutes he's played, he's done a great job overall. Again, Kenrich, just the ability of this team. I remember people were saying to trade a few different guys for a depth piece when we were at the deadline. And, that was valid. But at the same time, when you have so many options like this, guys that can step up the way that Kenrich can, for example. Kenrich didn't play at all against Denver. And now he's already had 2 massive quarters for us in this series alone. Finished tonight with 5 points, 2 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 of 3 shooting, including a 3. Kenrich was unbelievable. We needed him. Isaiah Joe, I know the defense was struggling, but the offense brought us a lot in that little period there where it felt like we needed something. We needed the extra punch. Everyone just stays ready. Caruso playing a lot more minutes here than he did in the regular season, and it's been huge for us. Like I said before, the playoffs, one of our weapons felt like it was just gonna be, hey, let's play Alex Caruso a ton of minutes, and he played 33 tonight, and like you said, was the plus minus goat in that moment. Yeah.
I do want to, one other thing on iHeart. I think it is important to mention if it is Indiana and he's not played a lot. I think it's going to go under the radar how important he was in Denver because we do not win that series. We don't win that series if iHeart's not there.
No,
so I think we need to remember that if we continue on past Minnesota, if we get to Indiana and get that taken care of. iHeart was the reason we're here in the first place, even if he doesn't play that much. So
I think he'll play. Flowers. I just don't think
he won't.
I don't think we get much double big, and also Indiana is going to be willing to go small, and that might get a little bit testy when they run those like Obi Toppin at the 5 type of lineups. They're a force. This is another perimeter centric type of team where we need to really be on. And I think small ball lineup or that Chet at the 5 going up against Miles Turner, who I'm not all that worried about. Miles Turner is strong. Like I could see some value in having Isaiah Hartenstein out there against him, but iHeart also struggled last year a bit against Miles Turner in that series against Indiana with New York. So there's give and take, and obviously there's going to be scheme shifts going into a matchup like that affect how many minutes are being played. It's not just going to be 1-for-1 depending on the matchup, this or that. So yeah, those are just a quick few iHeart notes.
Yeah,
I'm sure people are gonna kind of wonder about him a little bit. I also just want to shout out a couple of mark adjustments I talked about, flattening the spacing out a little bit. They did a lot more stuff where they were getting off those, wing 3-point spots and shifting a little bit more towards the corner to get those gap defenders off of Shea. And then if they came over, get more open threes. I thought that was a fantastic adjustment from Mark Daignault. Great job as well. We were sending pressure at Ant higher, doing everything we could to get the ball out of his hands and force it to others. And the others made us pay a number of times. But in the end, I would rather take shots from them than Anthony Edwards starts to get going, Right. And this was an incredible game from Lu Dort and Kaysen, who were attached to him at the hip. 5 of 13, 5 turnovers for Anthony Edwards. Julius Randle did a fantastic job on him as well. I thought coming into this series, this was going to be a tough matchup for Julius because he is turnover prone. He's not the best at reading, especially a defense like this. Like he's improved a lot over this season at reading defenses, but going up against a defense like this, I feel like we could really exploit those weaknesses in his processing. And we've done that, 5 turnovers, 1 of 7 shooting for Julius Randle. It felt like he still had a couple of big time moments for them, but overall was not nearly as impactful as they needed him to be. It was really a huge game from their depth guys. And we keep talking about how it feels like the NBA is more depth heavy than ever. Like right now is the depth era in the NBA. It seems to be. So,
10 turnovers and 1 of 10 combined for those two from 3 is is a testament to our Kaysen and Dub or Dort. And I think that's the reason this game was not a blowout for the Timberwolves because everybody else was on fire.
And that's what you're like. We talked about. You text in the group chat at half, and you're like, I don't feel great because we're only up this much, and Ant's not really doing all much in Julius Randle. But it did feel like the scheme was do not let them kill us. Let the role players do it if they're going to do it. And credit to them, they did for a lot of the game. But we just did a really good job at keeping the ball out of those guys' hands and making it really difficult. When we did, we did a better job at stopping those Anthony Edwards pull-up threes. He still got to a few of them and he knocked one down, but there was always a hand in his face. Like the one that he hit, Chet had that heavily contested. It's just Ant gets so much lift on that jumper and he's so good at shooting the basketball that it went ahead and fell. One other thing I want to know, go ahead, actually, go first.
The thing with Ant though, like there was I think it was up 3 when they were kind of like in desperation mode, and Ant did get kind of not really an open look, but
you're talking about the really deep one.
Yeah, and I think if he's like in rhythm, that might have gone in. So like, that's kind of
that is another thing
butterfly
too,
effect.
They reached the end of the game, and it's not like Ant has been taking those shots all night.
Right.
He's now in rhythm.
He's not in rhythm at all.
He's taken 13 shots. The last game he took, or I think it was game 2, he took 13 shots in the first quarter, and he finished with 13 on the entire night. I would. Obviously, Dante, Jaden, like those guys hit huge shots left and right. But if we reach the end of the game, I'm okay if those guys are torching us as long as it means Ant's not in rhythm.
Right.
Like keep Ant. That's a great point. Keep Ant out of his rhythm, and they did exactly that. They made him uncomfortable. It was similar to what the Wolves did to Shea last game, where they changed where Gobert was dropping to. They had him higher up on the level, and he did a great job in that. They changed to that more gap-heavy defense. Like they did such a good job of adjusting, and Chris Finch is going to make adjustments going to next game too, and I'm sure Mark will have some answers for those. But that's what the playoffs are about, is these chess matches. And we saw Shea respond in a huge way. I knew. I had someone text me and be like, hey, I'm trying to make bets for tonight. Like, what's something you feel comfortable with? I said, Shea is going to have a monster game. I promise you that.
Bro,
and,
hit me with those two. What the hell? Come on.
Yeah. And nearly a 40-point triple double. Well, he's just, he always responds.
Yeah. That's
Shea never
obvious.
really has back-to-back bad games. It doesn't happen. Like game 1 against the Nuggets, he struggled. Game 2, he was one of the best games of his career.
Always
Game 3, he
bounces back.
struggled. Game 4, he also kind of struggled, but in the fourth quarter, he took over and led us to the win. And then game 5, then in game 5, 6, and 7, he was unbelievable. Game 1, he kind of struggled. Game 2, he was phenomenal. Game 3, kind of struggled. Game 4, he was great. Like he's been phenomenal overall, like overwhelmingly more than he struggled. But anytime Shea has a struggle game, you can bet that next game he's going to bounce back in a big way. And I want to talk real quick about the fourth quarter. In that fourth quarter, we scored 38 points. 34 of those came from the big 3. The only other 4 were from Alex Caruso on those 2 layups that he hit. Dub had 14 points in the fourth quarter. We talked about the first quarter, 14 in the fourth quarter, and 5 of 7 shooting. 9 from Chet, 4 or 5 shooting. Shea had 11, 3 and 3. It was crazy, man. It's so crazy watching this happen in real time. Thinking back to when we drafted Chet and Dub in that same draft, and it's like, okay, Chet's one of our guys, and hey, Dub, well, he's pretty good in summer league. Like he feels like a guy that could be a piece of this. Like he could be a real contributor. Maybe he should start from day one. And he ended up, kind of being in that rookie of the year conversation in year 1. It's like, okay, what's he gonna do in year 2? It's like, this guy could be an all-star. And year 3, he's all-star, all-NBA, the first player from his draft class to get to that point. I will say, Wemby probably would have also been there this year if, Wemby was the draft class after. Paolo, might have had a shot to make it this year if he stayed healthy. Although I don't think that was a guarantee or anything. But like, man, just to see those guys step up.
How far we've come.
Outduel Minnesota, because Minnesota, in that fourth quarter, 6 of 13 from 3, 46.2%,
they were on fire.
50% shooting. They only turned the ball over 4 times. We turned the ball over 4 times. Like they got 9 offensive rebounds in that fourth. We got 3. This does not look like a fourth quarter we should have won. I was
trying to check who hit all those 4. I know DiVincenzo hit a bunch.
Dante hit 2 threes in the Dante 2 threes in the fourth, 1 from Ant, 2 from Jay McDaniels, 1 from Nikhil Alexander-Walker.
It was just the same guys who was hitting them all. So
Julius Randle took one. Which when Julius Randle took one, I was like, "This is a breath of fresh air."
Yeah, we're fine.
Like, as long as
chilling.
it's not Nah or Dante or Jay McDaniels or Ant.
Thank God it's not Ant taking a 3. God forbid. We
Yeah,
don't want Ant taking a 3.
It's a scary team, man. They're really, really good. I'll give them a ton of credit for the way that they've played. Like they're really good. They're really, really good. You don't get to the conference finals without being really, really good. A lot better than I thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season. And I picked them to lose round 1 against the Lakers and said they beat both those teams in 5. And they pushed us to our limit in this game. Like this isn't one that we lost and got experience from, but I still think this is a huge confidence game for this team. This is a huge momentum game for this team. Now you win one, you hope that the Knicks and the Pacers keep beating each other up a little bit, and you're on to the NBA Finals to face whoever comes out that other side.
Yep, it's a 3-1 lead. The Wolves have a lot to do to come back. It's not over yet. Game 5, Wednesday. Do you want to guess what the line is? If you haven't looked at it.
The line I've not looked at. I'm gonna guess 6.5.
Even better, it is 8.5 right now.
8.5. Wow.
Seems a little bit high.
I think 6.5 is where they were for games 1 and 2, or I think at least game 1 it was like 6.5. I don't remember.
Yeah,
what game 2 was.
Around that ballpark.
But yeah, I mean, I guess I get it. Like going back home after that kind of deflating loss for the Timberwolves, like it feels like 5 is the way that we should be able to close this thing out. But let's do it. Let's close this thing out in 5 in Oklahoma City. People are gonna be at the airport and greeting them tonight. If you're in Oklahoma City, head out to the airport.
I need to get in my car ASAP.
Topher did say in the chat.
The storms, watch out.
Be careful of the storms. Are you going to go to the airport or no?
They're hitting right now. I'm going to probably check the weather after we log off. But I want to. I'll see if I can.
Yeah, just be safe, Tierney, of course, and any of y'all out there, if you're going to the airport, be safe with the weather. But yeah, man, we're 1 win away. And we get to the NBA Finals. I think game 2, I'm going to be there in the building. So if any of y'all, are in OKC, I'm definitely going to be at game 2 of the Finals. If it's the Knicks, I'm hopefully going to be at games 3 and 4. If it reaches a point where we've got a chance to close out against the, whichever one of those teams in the finals, I'm gonna do whatever I can to try and get to the building of the closeout game. Like I'm gonna pay money to try and be there when we win the NBA Finals. But
I've thought about that. I've thought about it a lot. It's a lot of money for me. But
I mean, it'd be so huge if it's New York. And
if it's New York, it's great for you. You just go down the road. But yeah, I don't know if I can make that flight. Yeah.
I wonder what the scene would be like out in the street after I come out of Madison Square Garden wearing a Thunder jersey.
Fired up. Yeah. I think you might be that Indiana Pacers guy.
Yeah, I might get bags of trash thrown at me, but we'll see. We gotta get. I mean, but you got anything else?
I was just gonna say predictions. I'm gonna say Thunder by 6. I'm gonna go a little under.
Thunder by 6. Okay, I'm gonna say Thunder by 12. I think the Wolves fight. Yeah, I think we take a decent lead in halftime, and it feels like to me it's gonna be kind of similar. How much should we win by Game 5 against the Nuggets?
I have no clue now.
1 by 7. Yeah, where it was like the Nuggets, were kind of fighting a little bit. I think this one, keep my fingers crossed, knock on wood, it'll be a little more comfortable than that win where we had to make the big fourth quarter comeback against the Nuggets. But I believe that we'll go ahead and we'll be up by like 12 around halftime. It'll kind of be similar to this game where we're up and then they try and fight back a little bit. But I think in the fourth quarter, they just run out of steam. And the Thunder raise the Western Conference Finals trophy. Shea gets Western Conference Finals MVP at home in Oklahoma City to send us to our first final since I was 12 years old. So
wow.
We're close.
Yeah. We're almost there. So
yeah, just got to win 4 more games.
Win 4 more games.
4 more games in this series. 4 more games the next series.
But win 1 tomorrow. That's the big one. It's the really big one, if you know what I mean. So we'll be live again on Wednesday for that. Same time. I like how all the games are at 7:30. By the way, it's nice. So same time.
8:30 here, jerk.
Yeah. Just sorry. 7:30 for the homies. 8:30 for the Eastern Coast.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame.
You're up late anyway. It's fine.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not sleeping until like 5 a.m. tonight anyways. It doesn't matter for me. I'm just talking to talk.
Yeah. We'll be live again on Wednesday. So thank you all for tuning in. We had a lot of people at the
shout out to y'all. Feels like the most we've ever had in the chat. At least it's up there.
I'm doing the thing again where I do all of the stuff at the end when I should have done at the beginning. But thank you for if you have not done so. Please subscribe. We're so close to 1,000, bro. We're so close to 1,000, please. Leave a like. Comment down below your predictions for Game 5. Who you like the most of the big 3 tonight. All 3 of them would be correct answers, but pick your favorite. And we'll be back on Wednesday for Game 5. And if you're in OKC, do check the weather first. We got some storms coming in, but do if you can. If you're like South OKC, I think you're fine. So if you're in that area, go ahead and pop in to the airport. Give the Thunder a well-deserved ovation. Get their high fives. Good vibes all around. And yeah, we'll be back on Wednesday. So God bless everybody. Hoop when you can. And as always,